take a few minutes to talk about effectiveness of design build. So how do we really know which of these techniques is truly effective? What's the best for the public dollar? What's the best way to proceed with either bid build, design build, or CMGC, or some other method? It's a study done by the Construction Industry Institute in Penn State, dates back to 1998, I believe it is. And they compared design build with bid build and also CMAR at the time. And these were 300 vertical building industry projects. And with this particular study, design build came out fairly well. DBIA uses this slide a lot. It can show that their delivery method has advantages over the others in construction speed, delivery speed, cost growth. But in transportation, we didn't have this big database until recently, but about 5 years ago, we started our own research project at Federal Highway to look at cost effectiveness. And we collected information from a number of projects. We did the study through the University of Colorado Boulder. Professor Molinar out there was the lead researcher. And it was a 2.5-year study, and he had a staff of 15 researchers, grad students and others. They collected data from about 300 projects around the country with the hope of issuing guidance, tech briefs, white papers, and giving presentations at conferences to show the results. But here's the spread of projects they had at that time for these 300 projects. Tennessee had a couple of projects. They tried to distribute it nationally, but there were certain states that didn't have exposure to design build or CMGC, so that was a limitation. But we did collect a reasonable number of projects. Of the 120 so design build projects, about a third of those, or 39, were design build low bid. And the remaining ones were design build best value, where the award is based on price and non-price factors. So you can see the distribution of projects here. And this is for the time range of projects completed in 2004, 2015. I think if we did this study again in another 15 years, we would see different results, but it is interesting, at least as a first snapshot, to look at what's truly effective and what's not cost effective. These were the types of projects for which we collected information, and you can see even for the bid build, there were A plus B bidding projects in there, and for the design build projects, there were also some variations of best value. Some include cost plus time bidding, others included other variations. So there's a wide range of the type of projects that we looked at. We tried to keep an apples-to-apples comparison as far as project size in areas of the country. And we did that fairly uniformly, with the mean cost for these projects ranging from, say, 10 million up to 43 million. But you could see with the minimum and the max, there were some larger design build projects and even some larger CMGC projects, which was somewhat surprising, but Utah and Colorado had some relatively large CMGC projects. Project intensity was a new word for this research team. They came up with this concept of which of these delivery methods delivers the project the fastest, for which we measure it by paying out, which has the highest payout per day. And just thinking about it, what would you think would be the best delivery method if your goal was simply to pay out money and get construction out on the street? Which of these would be the most effective at getting construction done and paying for construction fastest? Would it be design build? Or do you think CMGC would have some advantages? Well, if you look at the numbers, CMGC came out pretty well with this. They were number one in intensity, or in this chart, $46 million, $1,000 per day. Design build did fairly well, either best value or low bid, and then of course low bid. It was probably, as we would think, would be the slowest delivery method, where if you just look at the dollar spent over the life of the contract, that was the least efficient in getting things done, building the project, and paying for it. So that was one aspect that the researchers wanted to look at, which is best at actually moving the project forward and getting things done. And project intensity was the way they measured that. How about cost growth? Which is the most efficient at limiting cost growth? Would you think it would be design build or CMGC? Guess this was not really a surprise, but CMGC came out the best in overall cost growth, with a mean cost growth of 0.9%, and the others were up in the 2 to 4 range. Why do you think this was for CMGC? Why, when you compare the final construction cost with the award amount, why did CMGC experience the lowest growth? Any ideas? What is it about CMGC that would minimize the opportunity for cost growth? Negotiate with them? And what happens before that price negotiation, though? What are you getting from the industry in the development of the design? Constructability, the review of quantities, the review of the design, their input on how they're going to approach the project, all those risk issues, staging, traffic control, all those things that could possibly change should be discussed before that price reasonableness point is reached. So just from a conceptual level, CMGC should be providing all that opportunity up front, and then after that contract is signed, there should be the least chance for change after that, just in theory. Doesn't always work that way, but at least with these projects that we had in the research project, the research proved what the concept was. So for this, it was consistent. How about change orders? Which delivery method fares the best when it comes to change orders? You know, I would have thought design build would be the best. We're giving a contractor to someone to provide final design. Should be no change orders, right? Except that things happen. The owner still wants to change a requirement that was in the RFP. Things change throughout the design. Something comes up, either an unforeseen condition or something that was outside of what was identified in the scope of the RFP. So even with some of these new delivery methods, there's an opportunity for change, and this chart shows that certain delivery methods, the lowest agency-directed change was with CMGC. The agency and the CMG firm had their opportunity to make changes during the design process, so you would hope that would be the lowest change.